Hey everybody, welcome back to Tim Travels. I'm your host Terry, coming to you from, I guess this is Angola, Indiana. I'm at the Loves. And let me just preface everything else I'm about to say by saying I have like this low grade, I think bronchitis, but I've been coughing for like 3 weeks. And yeah, so I take antihistamines, but I may cough, so I apologize in advance. So I'm just doing like a 3-7 split. I got to deliver over in Kenosha, Wisconsin at about 1:30. Picked this load up yesterday in Virginia. You know, I gotta say, let me just back up. So today's the 2nd of September. Today is the anniversary of, I guess this would be the 79th anniversary of VJ Day. And VJ, for those of you who don't know, stands for Victory Over Japan. And that's the day that the Japanese surrendered in 1945. They did so on the deck of the USS Missouri, BB-63. You may have seen a famous picture of that surrender with all the U.S. senior officers. Here's a picture of that. And of course, yesterday was September 1st. It was the 85th anniversary of the start of World War II in 1939. So September 1st, 1939, the Germans invaded Poland. I kind of alluded to this anniversary when I was talking about the Molotov-Ribbentrop non-aggression pact that was signed a few weeks earlier, where basically the Russians and the Germans, or the Nazis and the communists, whatever you want to say, they decided how they were going to divide up Eastern Europe. Of course, the Germans kind of reneged on that deal, which just proves you can never trust the Germans. Okay, so just to get ready for it, September 4th is in 2 days, and you know what that means. Yeah, that's right. It's the Queen Bee's birthday, Beyonce's birthday. I'll have more about that probably in a couple of days on the 4th. Yeah, so I drove. I'm fortunate because I've talked to a number of drivers who were like just hoping to have something to do this weekend. My friend Lyle did a live yesterday from Springfield, from the global corporate headquarters of Prime Inc. And he's just sitting for the weekend. He had to do some stuff, but I suspect a lot of people are sitting for the weekend. But I was fortunate, not that I haven't sat, but I had a load that I picked up in Ohio on, I think it must have been early Friday, and it delivered to Gordonsville, Virginia. I got my windows rolled down because it's a beautiful day. I got a guy on my right side idling. Although if he just rolled his windows down, it's just really nice. And the guy next to me, I guess, is just really needs air pressure right this second. So he's at like 1,000 RPM. Anyway, so I picked up this load of eggs, and that's the first time I ever had a load of eggs, and I had to take it to Gordonsville, Virginia, to the Walmart. But if you know the route from like north of Columbus to get to Gordonsville, Virginia, you know that the most efficient route is probably one of the harder drives I have to make. Down US 35, pick up I-64 west of Charleston, West Virginia, then all the way across 64. So go to Charleston, go south for a while, then go back east, over the mountains, through the woods, grandmother's house, the whole 9 yards, and over to 81, up 81, stay back on 64 to Gordonsville. And, you know, driving in West Virginia, and I drove it at night. Driving in West Virginia, there's no roads that are straight for more than about a mile, and there's no roads that aren't either going up or down. And the other thing about 35 in West Virginia, excuse me, so you cross the Ohio River, they've actually fixed some of it, but that's the road where you're constantly like, whoa, back and forth. And I was like, man, they put a lot of dunnage in these pallets of eggs, and they were in plastic containers, and then the cartons were in the plastic containers. And they put like dunnage in there, those inflatable pillow things in between everything, and then I threw a load bar in there. But I still was like, man, if I get to Walmart and there's eggs all over the back of that truck, I'm not gonna be shocked. But I even slowed way down. I was like, whenever it said dip, I was going like 55 miles an hour. Luckily, nothing wrong. I got there, everything was fine. So I'm grateful for that, but it was a little nerve-wracking. But just that whole trip is just tiring. Those are hard miles. And you know, it's just that the West Virginia Turnpike, hard miles, and especially at night. Luckily, it wasn't pouring down rain or something or snowing, but it's not a route I like. And then can't complain about having a load, because I picked a load up last night at Dannon. So I hung out. I basically went and parked at the Petro and Steele's Tavern at Rafine. There's always parking there, by the way. It's the lot is so enormous, it's never full. So I went there at like, I don't know, 11 o'clock at night, plenty of parking, way out back. Nothing to worry about. But then I PC'd up the road to go to Naf Naf. There's a new Naf Naf at the Loves. It's at exit 213 on I-81. So picked up at Dannon last evening. That wasn't bad. But then I was like, I gotta run this, I gotta get somewhere today. So ran back over the mountains. I fueled at Low Moor at the Loves there. So now I'm here in Indiana, and like I said, I gotta deliver in a few hours. So one of the themes that has been constant lately is lack of loads. And I was just on the phone with somebody that's a lease operator at Prime, and he was saying, you know, things have been slow, brokered loads. He's down in Florida. And everybody was worried about this weekend. Maybe it'll pick up. But here's one of the things that I see that's going on. I think a lot of companies, my company certainly, things have been slow. And my company has a guarantee. But what I think a lot of these companies are not doing, though, is they're not doing enough to make sure. I think well, let me back up and say this. A lot of these companies are still recruiting. And what they're hoping is that when the market rebounds, and I've read some stuff in FreightWaves and other people, you know, other places where people are like, yeah, when this market does rebound, because it's been a long slowdown, it's been a long depression of the freight market. When it does come back, it's going to rebound with a vengeance, and then truckload capacity is going to be very much in demand. And a lot of companies right now are not, they're keeping drivers running just enough to maybe keep them from leaving somewhere and trying to go somewhere else. Because it doesn't matter if, you know, you leave a company where there's not enough work to go to another company where there's not enough work. Why start over somewhere? But that's what's keeping drivers. And by the way, trucking industry employment is down. There have been a lot of layoffs in a lot of places over the past 12 months. The market is needing to absorb a lot of drivers, a lot of people that want to drive that don't have a ride. So, what does that mean for us? Well, one of the things I was telling this guy is, and this was really my wife's idea, but she said, why don't you figure out how to monetize your spare time? And so I'm going home next weekend. I'm going to get a wireless router for the truck. I'm going to get a laptop or maybe a tablet, I don't know which. And I mentioned this before, I'm going to take a continuing ed course. I'm going to, get my resume together, because I don't know what's going to happen with the freight market. And I might hang around if I see some boom time coming for the next several months. But at the same time, I know that I want to transition out of this. And so that's something that, I'm like, yeah, let me monetize my time. Let me read books. Let me, because I know people have different interests and stuff. But I will tell you that sitting, and obviously I research content, create content for my YouTube channel, but I don't have the kind of monetization on my YouTube channel that a lot of people do. If I was a cute 26-year-old female, I could get 30,000 views just backing a truck into a parking spot. But I'm not that person, so I got to do something different. So I do spend time creating content, but I want to do other things that are going to set me up for the future, whether it's in trucking or not. And I'm kind of the mind that anything you do to improve yourself is beneficial. So I want to study things. I want to learn things. I'm in the middle of reading 4 books. Maybe I should have just done one and finished it, but I'm in the middle of reading 4 books. One's on the Battle of Gettysburg that I hadn't read before. I've read several, but not that one. One's Ulysses S. Grant's biography. Another is called Attack and Die, and it's really a kind of in the weeds study of like troop movements and formations in the Civil War. But then the 4th book I'm reading is on poverty and how the systems that we have in place in the United States perpetuate poverty, and how we have the money to lift people out of poverty, but we just don't do it. And it's kind of like, why is that the case? Why don't we lift people out of poverty so they can ultimately contribute more to the economy and stuff? And by the way, the results of a really huge universal basic income program have come out, and I'll talk about that in a different video. But so there's really 2 things going on, right? There's lowering in the trucking industry. There's lowering of available trucking jobs, which probably means, and I've turned a couple down. I've turned a couple of jobs down. Even though I'm not happy where I am, I have turned jobs down because I was like, what am I getting by moving? And the answer is maybe nothing, except I got to change jobs, right? Like I got to start over with a new company. But the other part of it is that there's less freight. Well, I'm fortunate in that I do have a guarantee. It's not very high, $1,250 a week, but other than the fact that I'm not sitting around my house, which would be much better, it allows me the opportunity to do some other things. And so if you know that you're sitting between loads, right? Think about things. What is it that you could do to improve yourself in the near term, but also maybe over the long term. And maybe you're really good at sports betting and you just want to sit online and do parlays and be on DraftKings or whatever. Hey, if that pays the bills, that's cool. I don't actually think that's a great strategy for making money, but whatever. But there's so many things that people, like, and don't get me wrong, it is very easy for me to fall into the trap of just being angry and just demoralized, and I'm out on the road. So I want to try to not focus on the negative and just know, hey, I'm not in this boat by myself. A lot of people are experiencing this. And even at companies where you would think that if anybody can get loads, it should be them, like Prime, because they're big and they have this network, but also that works against them, right? Because Prime, like a lot of companies, they have this equitable situation, right? Where they want to feed everybody a little bit so that nobody's starving. Truthfully, what all these companies at least, and my company has lease people too, what they're doing is they're giving every lease operator enough to just keep them making the truck payments. With company drivers, what they're doing is they're giving people enough to keep them around. Because what's going to happen is the companies that have lost drivers or maybe even laid off drivers, they're not going to have the people they need to take advantage of the market rebound when it happens. They're going to have trucks that are parked. And I think really that's what happened in the post-COVID situation with US Express. US Express has horrendous, or had, maybe it's improved since they got affiliated with Knight Swift, but they had horrendous retention and spent a lot on recruiting. And part of the reason that they weren't able to take advantage of the market when it was like awesome, and analysts noted it, I think, is because of their retention. Like they weren't treating drivers well enough to keep anybody around. Anybody that went there was like, wait a minute, I could make more elsewhere, and they would just jump. And I remember when I was at Schugel, maybe when I was at Knight, I talked to US Express, and they were offering like experienced drivers like 36 cents a mile. It's like, yeah, that guy's going to be profitable for you because you're getting $2 a mile to run this load. But how long is that person going to stay around when they talk to somebody that's making 50 cents a mile at another company, and that other company's willing to hire them? Like, they're going to be gone. And so that's I think is what's going on right now, is companies are trying to hold what they got, trying to feed everybody enough to keep them surviving until the rescue comes. So we'll see if that's true, and we'll see if it works. But mark my words, there's going to be some company out there that right this second, they're not treating drivers good at all. And I'm not saying a lot of them are killing it, but there's some that are treating, they're probably not treating drivers well at all. And they're going to be left holding the bag when everybody else is like just in high cotton. They're not going to be able to get in the field to reap the harvest. So anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'm particularly interested in what people are seeing as far as like loads and stuff like that. And I suspect some people are having good weeks, but those good weeks are not week after week after week. Because I feel like that happened when I was, at Prime, and I'm just using them as an example, where I would have a good week and then the next week would suck. And so consistency is a big deal. But anyway, let me know what you're finding. I'm just curious about what it says about the economy overall. And I don't know, maybe maybe the election's playing into this. I don't necessarily think so. I don't think a lot of people are like, oh, I'm not going to buy X because I don't know who's going to be the president. Now, maybe big business is thinking about that, but I don't think consumers are. And most of us, our work is driven by the consumer market. I'm not hauling stuff from Dannon because somebody is concerned about who's going to be the next president. It's just not a thing. So anyway, be safe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.